Welcome back to Battle Cage. My name is Saif, and I'm absolutely ecstatic to be back here giving you my reaction to Rozenstruik Gaziev event that took place yesterday for the UFC. Going into the UFC event, I'd had zero expectations, just like most of the people. But you know what? Turned out to be a really good and fun event. And yeah, let's get right into it. The card opener, Loic Rajdabov took on Abdul Karim Al-Wasadi. And you know what? Started pretty competitive for Loic. He was pretty dominant and controlling. And it looked like he might be the underdog for that fight. Then Abdul was able to impose his will and started getting his own takedowns. In fact, he had 3 takedowns in that fight. And if you take away the knockout loss that he suffered to Loic Rajdabov in the 3rd round, it was a pretty competitive swing fight, back and forth, where each man had a little bit of shine. The total control time was for Al-Wasadi. Like I mentioned, he had 3 of his takedowns. Loic had 4 takedowns, and Loic was able to basically get it done in the 3rd round. He was able to find that vicious power that we all know he has, but rarely displays, and he knocked out Al-Wasadi. What a good way to start the event. In either case, I will still be firm with my decision to never break down the first card, the very first fight, nor will I ever take any action on the very first fight. And that's just a principle, it's just a rule that I follow, and I will continue following that, and I refuse to break it. My brother, on the other hand, felt otherwise, and he started his X Factor parlay for his 2nd week with this very first fight, and he predicted this fight will go to the 2nd round, and hence X Factor parlay. Fight starts number 2. Leg number 1 was success. So overall, good fight. I enjoyed it, and it was the very first leg for X Factor parlay. Moving down, our 2nd fight was Ludwig Klein taking on AJ Cunningham. Now, we know AJ was a very, very late replacement here. And Ludwig Klein coming in minus 900. And he looked like minus 900. And he gets the job done. Round 1 KO of AJ Cunningham. No surprise. But AJ Cunningham, for as long as it lasted, he was in this fight. I got to give him credit. And he was throwing shots. In fact, he landed a couple of sweet left counters on Ludwig Klein, and in a very close exchange. He was really putting it on. In either case, he suffered a loss to Ludwig Klein, and Ludwig Klein did what he's supposed to do. Minus 900. What do you want? Moving down. This was my official first pick, Christian Leroy Duncan. And Christian Leroy Duncan did exactly what he was supposed to do against Claudio Ribeiro, and that in a very close hand-to-head combat, he will be the better striker, and he displayed that. He had beautiful leg kicks, officially scored 18 leg kicks to 2. I'll pull up the graphic here so you can see for yourself. So as you can see, 18 legs to 2. Body kicks, body shots, 8 to 1. Look at the head strikes, 39 to 1. I don't know how accurate these numbers were for Claudio, but they just seem like he was not in the fight. And considering that this fight went into round 2, I don't buy these numbers. But it is what it is. We have to go with what we have. And I'm going to go with these ESPN numbers, although I don't know how official they are. But basically, what does that tell you? Christian Leroy Duncan was controlling the entire pace of the fight with his leg strikes and beautiful elbows. I mean, those elbows are vicious, and he's going to be a problem in this middleweight if he continues to grow, evolve. And I'm pretty high on Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he's an extremely good technical fighter, and sky's the ceiling for this guy. And let's see, I'm pretty sure he's going to be moving up in the cards and his next fight as well, because that was a really good outing for Christian Leroy Duncan. Our next fight was the biggest underdog of the card. Was he? No, he was the second biggest underdog, and that was Ayman Zahabi upsets Javid Basharat. I will be honest, I had action on this fight. In fact, Javid was my very first leg of my parlay, and that didn't go through. I hit 2 out of 3 of the legs, and well, in a parlay, if you miss one, you done. So he kind of ruined it early for me, but I called this fight objectively. In my life, you could go check that out as well. So in the very first round, Javid comes out strong. He's controlling the fight. He has really good distance management, and the kicks were just flowing for Javid Basharat. Again, the numbers that they have here on ESPN: 7 leg strikes to 8. I don't buy that. I think he had more like 15, if you ask me. But he was, distance management was perfect. He was outstriking Zahabi, leg strikes, hand strikes. It was round 1, all Basharat. Here comes round 2, and Javid is pretty much using the same game plan, and he thinks he's gonna coast and cruise control. Little did he know, the dog in Zahabi, and he starts firing back. He starts throwing overhand, powerful overhand rights. He starts countering with the left. He starts pressuring his own, and he now is in the fight. He's in the fight. And at that second round, I said Zahabi won this round because he established his own pace. He pushed Javid back, and he started landing. He started piecing Javid Basharat. Here comes round 3, and I say 1-1. Javid has to establish his pace once more, distance management, and he has to be the aggressor. In the first minute and a half, he starts out very good, and it looks like he's winning the fight once again. Zahabi has an answer for Basharat, and he starts fighting back. I mean, really fighting back. His hands are piecing Basharat. Basharat looks discombobulated. He looks gassed out. And yeah, Zahabi finished strong. In fact, he even grabbed and controlled Basharat. Very small, 13 seconds, but still good visual to end the fight. Before the judges read their numbers, I say this is a Zahabi win, and I accept the loss, and that's exactly what happened. There's no doubt in my mind. Ayman Zahabi barked like the true dog he is, and he won that fight. There's nothing else that I have to add. Moving along. The next fight was a bantamweight fight versus Vinicius Oliveira taking on this. Well, they're both debuters. A new hungry lion, literally the Lion King that he calls him, Bernardo Sopaj. At the face-offs, it was a pretty feisty exchange, and Bernardo promised to put Oliveira to sleep. Little did he know, he was only 50% right, because somebody went to sleep. I mean, almost died going to sleep, and that was Sopaj, because Vinicius Oliveira put him out. And when I say put him out, it was a vicious flying knee right to his face. And yeah, but how did this fight start? The fight starts as most people expected. There was a lot of love for Bernardo Sopaj, and he came in hungry. He gets a takedown for Oliveira, capitalizing from a spinning leg kick, if I'm not mistaken. But in either case, he gets his takedown, and he starts controlling Oliveira. He starts landing. If you look at the numbers, in fact, they are really, really close, as you can see for yourself. Head strikes 42-39. Body was favoring Vinicius, and the legs. The name of the game for Vinicius was definitely the legs. And in my life, I was calling it the wood choppers, because he was throwing those legs with reckless abandonment and bad intentions. He wanted to really break Sopaj's legs, and he actually, I believe, succeeded, because Sopaj, forget getting knocked out, he couldn't even walk. That left leg was absolutely gone, and it was very evident in the third round. In either case, Sopaj gets control of the first round. He wins the first round. Going into the second round, it looks like it's a rinse and repeat story. Sopaj assumes another takedown, and he is now close to minus 270. As the fight goes on, he flattens out Oliveira, and it looks like the fight might be stopped, and Sapaj is now minus 4,500. He assumes the back control once more, and it looks like he's going to submit Oliveira. He's minus 8,500. Madness. And then out of nowhere, Oliveira gets up, gets his own takedown, and he turns into Super Saiyan, and he starts unloading on Sapaj, and he really took him out of his element. And that's it. That's after that, it was all Vinicius Oliveira. Going to the third round, he's already in control. He beat on Sapaj, so it's like, okay, 1-1, right? It's literally 1-1. And yeah, Vinicius continues the onslaught, continues the leg kicks, continues the striking. I don't know who he was talking to. He was either talking to his corner or to Sapaj's corner, but he kept having conversations mid-fight. In either case, he's beating on him. It's the last. We're under a minute into the fight. He's beating on him. He's still having conversations with who? I don't know. I will suspect he was having conversation with his corner, and his corner was saying, go for the knockout. Out of nowhere, he throws a 1-2 piece combo. He presses Sapaj against the cage, runs up, and throws just a nasty flying knee right to Sapaj, and he goes down. He goes down hard. The man wasn't moving for a couple of minutes. If you read any of these comments anywhere, even me, watch my live reaction. I thought this dude died. I thought we witnessed the very first live murder on UFC, because it was that bad. I mean, terrible. Watch it. Watch it for yourself. Watch the highlights on ESPN. It was crazy. In fact, let me see if I can pull that up. That would be that's nasty. Hold on a second. All right, you guys have to watch this for yourself. I mean, here's Vinicius, presses him back, flies. Ooh, this is what I mean. He was just dead. Like, come on. That was crazy. That was nasty. Here's another one, slow motion, kicks him, rocks him back, presses him against the cage. There you go. And then, oh my goodness. Yep, highlight reel. That was nasty, ladies and gentlemen. And that was tough. I mean, really tough. So, yeah, that is the knockout of the night. That is the fight of the night. It was one of the better fights. Excuse me, this entire night. So, I think he definitely won the fight of the night, but I gotta double check. In either case, that was one of my favorite fights for yesterday. So he gets the job done, and yeah, let's move forward. The closing prelim fight was Eric Anders taking on Jamie Pickett. No surprise, a lot of people picked Eric Anders. So did I. I didn't have much to say about this fight except that Jamie Pickett was not good, Eric Anders was not good, and Eric Anders coming in minus 575. That was not good. In either case, he gets the job done via a unanimous decision. He basically controlled the fight for almost 10 minutes. So he just basically controlled the fight. What else do you want me to say? Here. Look at that control time. 10 minutes and 8 seconds for Anders. He obviously outlanded, but it was not a striking battle whatsoever. Yeah, he just gets the job done. And good on Anders. I believe Jamie Pickett retired in the presser. He didn't retire in the ring. He retired at the presser. So correct me if I'm wrong. But in any case, yeah, that's it. There's nothing much to say. It was just a clinch control. And just in case you didn't get it, it was clinch control. This was a very interesting flyweight bout to open the main event. It was Matt Schnell taking on Steve Ercik. Let me pull the graphic for you. So as you can see, it was a close fight as long as it lasted. But yeah, going into that second round, at the beginning of the round, 26 seconds, counter left vicious punch for Steve Ercik, and Matt Schnell goes down. In the first round, he was opened up by Steve Ercik, so he was bleeding, but he was still fighting. He was still rocking Steve Ercik, and considering everything, he was doing good. But in that very second round, man, Steve Ursa caught him clean. He caught him bad. And yeah, I don't know what the future for Machinell is. He is a dog. He's tough, but he's been losing and losing very, very bad. And I'm just worried for his health at this point. Let's see what they do. I don't know if he's gonna get cut or not. But yeah, it's just tough. UFC is a very tough organization. Moving down along, we had Umar Nurmagomedov, cousin Habib, taking on this newcomer, Begzad Almakhan. And let's just say this dude is tough. We saw even in this fight, he actually had a knockdown against Umar Nurmagomedov, which tells you that in a striking fight, this guy is going to give a lot of people in the bantamweight division a lot of trouble, because the top 5 are good wrestlers, but everybody else are just strikers, and he has a lot of tools in his arsenal. Unfortunately for him, he took on a beast. He took an undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov that carries that last name, and we know these Dagestani boys are no joke, and their bread and butter is the wrestling game. So I'm going to show you the graphic, and as you know, it's not a surprise. 11 minutes and 26 seconds of control time. This guy was on cue. 1 minute stand up, couple of strikes thrown, and he would just take you down. And he inflicted a lot of damage to Begzad. In fact, post-fight conference, he admitted that he felt very bad throwing massive, dangerous elbows on Begzad's face. But Begzad was in the game. He was in the fight. He reversed every chance of a submission, and he was not going away. So Begzad definitely is a tough dude. Unfortunately for him, this was a tough outing, and yeah, Umar Nurmagomedov, he wins. This is not a surprise to all, and the heaviest favorite minus 1200, he definitely did it. Him by decision should have been the case. Now we have a little expose that happened. Alex Perez took on surging Muhammad Mokaev, but thank God for wrestling, because if it wasn't the wrestling for Mokaev, although look at the control time for Perez, he was in this fight. 3 minutes and 44 seconds of control time for Perez, 4 minutes and 29 seconds for Mokaev. Obviously, more strikes for Mokaev, but let me go in order. First round, it's going to be Muhammad Mokaev. He has a dominant control. He got the back. He's working for submission. He's throwing punches. He basically looks like Muhammad Mokaev as a big favorite. Now going into round 2, he starts slowing down. Slowing down, and he is desperately going for the takedown here. And Alex Perez is able to finally stop those takedowns, and he's countering them, and he's stuffing them, and he's sprawling out of it. And Alex Perez started to look good. I call it 1-1 going into the third round. I don't know. I could be wrong. Now, in the third round, once again, Muhammad Mokaev basically couldn't get a single takedown, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't for that last reversal in the third round, in fact, they didn't even score that. He had no takedowns after that. He had 3 takedowns, and then he went for 20 attempts. 3 out of 20 attempts. And he was just completely unsuccessful in the third round. He was desperately baiting Alex Perez to throw a knee, so it could be an illegal knee. And yeah, I would have to say, I personally believe, change my opinion, I think Alex Perez won the fight, and I think Muhammad Mokaev got exposed. He is not ready for the title. He needs more. He needs much more accolades before he gets the title. I thought he was really good, and I still think he's really good. I don't know. He said he was feeling ill. I'm not going to call him a liar, but he did not look good in this fight. He definitely got exposed. If you put the pressure on him, and we've seen it earlier in the rounds where even with Charles Johnson, right, who was in that fight, unfortunately, he couldn't stop any takedowns. But he fights a really good wrestler that can stuff a couple of his takedowns. Muhammad Mokaev is in trouble because his striking is not that good, and it's not that dangerous. So Muhammad Mokaev, I would say, was the biggest expose. He's exposed, man. He got exposed. That's all I'm going to say. So he gets the final unanimous decision. I would have probably be content with a split. I did pick Mohamed Mokaev, but I was not impressed by that outing at all. Going to the co-main event, we had Vitor Patrino, and yeah, Vitor looked good. He was one of my confident picks. He had good control time, 5 minutes of control time. He outlanded him in striking department, but the leg kicks was the name for Pedro. Unfortunately for Pedro, it was not enough, and Patino basically did what he had to do. We know that Tyson is a big dude, and he's dangerous. He's dangerous, and I don't mind Petrino, using his wits and his basically intelligence at this point and survive. And it was a good win. I thought he was gonna knock out Pedro, so kudos to Pedro. But a unanimous decision, and that's what a unanimous decision looks like. I completely agree. Victor Petrino gets it done. He controlled most of the round. He outstruck Tyson Pedro. He wins the unanimous decision, and at the end, Tyson Pedro retires. He's just not in it. You can see he's not in it. He wanted to win. He definitely wanted to win, but he probably told himself, if he cannot get past this newcomer, Vitor Petrino, there's really nothing he can do moving forward, and I think that's a good call. He's not too old. Save your brain cells. Enjoy your life, and just, you know what I'm saying, spend time with family. Because, yeah, what else can you say? So, shout out to Pedro, man. It was good knowing you. So, another guy retired. And finally, we have the main event of the evening, and it is Gaziev, this up-and-coming new dude, who is basically going to answer the question, is he the real deal or not? I will probably say I still don't know how good Gaziev is. This was a massive step up for him. He has never fought a 5-rounder. And to fight Rozenstruik, who's always in the main event, who's always game and ready. And yeah, the control time, as you can see, no surprise. Gaziev starts strong. He's dominating Rozenstruik in the very first round, the second round. But as the fight started going later and later, closer to the end of the second, into the third, it was basically he was drowning and drowning and drowning. Look at the striking differential, 78 strikes to 16 strikes. And as the fight kept going and going, Rozenstruik was just beating on him, and it was the story of the jab. He literally jabbed Gaziev's face to obliterate. He was bleeding pretty bad. I think at one point he really hurt his nose so much, or at least Gaziev's nose was filled with so much blood that he couldn't breathe. He had to open up his mouth. And one of the strikes, literally, from Rozenstruik, he loses the mouthpiece, and it's on the floor because he could barely hold it with his mouth. So yeah, really good, impressive win. At the start of the 5th round, it didn't even actually start. It's right at the end of the fourth round, going into the 5th round. There's some controversy. The referee stops the fight. He says, listen, I need a doctor in here. I want to understand what he just told his corner. Apparently, he didn't like the body language, and Gaziev revealed that he could not see out of his eye. He declares that to the doctor, and as soon as the referee, I believe it's Mark Goddard, and as soon as he hears it, he stops the fight. And I believe that's a good call. There was nothing he could do in the 5th round. He was completely gassed. He was completely beat down. His spirits were broken, and Rozenstruik gets a KO TKO finish at the end of the fourth round. And I believe this was Biggie Boy's best performance. He looked calm. He looked collected. I still think he's slow, and he'll never be better at this point. Biggie Boy is what Biggie Boy is. He's back kind of in the mix, but still, any top contender takes him out. So he could be the gatekeeper. He's the new gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? He kind of the new. He'll never be Derek Lewis, but you know what I mean. He's there. He's the gatekeeper. That's what I see Biggie Boy as. He's a heavyweight gatekeeper. Well, what else can I say? Oh, let me just review. I mentioned to you guys the X Factor parlay. So the very first leg, It was Al Sawadi versus Rajdabov. Fight starts round 2. That hit for the X Factor parlay. Our second one was Javid Bashrad versus the Hobby. Again, the thought process here was, Javid is a technical fighter. He definitely fights for decision win. It's going to the second round. And it did. It did. It actually went to the third round, as you guys saw. And the final leg was... let me double check myself. What the hell was the final? It was Eric Anders. The third leg was Eric Anders versus Jamie Pickett. My brother said it was not going the distance. I'm sorry. It was not going to be finished in the first round. Eric Anders is not a killer. He doesn't possess the killer instinct in the first round, although he had Jamie Pickett hurt at one point in the first round. But either case, that was the third leg, and it cashed. So X Factor Parlay lives on. We're going into week number 3. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us, because that video is going to drop very, very soon. And you want to lock that in too. My brother believes he can go to 10,000. I'm following that parlay. I'm a believer at this point. So week 3, let's see what happens. We have a great card in next week. Join me for live. I definitely want to do that. Live commentary. The Fight Companion was a success for my first one in a long time. I appreciate all the new followers, all the new likes, and yeah, God bless. It was a good event, and there's nothing else I can say. Stay safe. Have a great week, and see you next time. Bye bye.